Hello everyone, my name is George Wagner. I'm a Director of Product and Technical Marketing here at Liqid, and today I want to give you an overview of our composable disaggregated infrastructure. So in my role here, I have the opportunity to talk to customers and partners alike. And when I'm talking to them about kind of what their considerations for infrastructure when delivering new applications like AI and ML, it really boils down to kind of three essential areas that they're focused on: flexibility, agility, and cost control. And when we look at the delivery mechanisms we have today, there, for the most part, are two, right? You have your on-prem. And if we look at on-prem and how we can match it up to this matrix, from a flexibility standpoint, pretty limited, right? In the last 25 years I've been in IT. I was an IT practitioner for a while. Nothing's really changed, right? You have a requirement for an application, you work out exactly the resources you need, you talk to your partner, you negotiate a price, you order the server ships, you get it about a month later, you rack it, stack it, you do some testing on it, and you're ready to go. Well, all in all, it took you maybe a month or more. And time is money, so it's not the most flexible. There is software that's been out, that's been delivered in the past 15 years, 20 years, like virtualization and HCI, for example, that have made it a little easier, but at the end of the day, it's still consuming these very rigid resources underlying that, which is the x86 server and its resources. So not very flexible. From an agility standpoint, so I get that application stood up, and we're humming along, and all of a sudden I need more GPU. What has to happen? Well, I have to schedule downtime. I have to go ahead and crack that server open and add a card to it. Not very agile. Oh, and by the way, if there's no more space in the server, I have to add another server. Right? So not very agile. From a cost control standpoint, those are my resources, it's my server. So it's pretty controlled from that perspective. So I will give it a checkbox for a check mark for cost control. On the other side, we do have cloud, right? And cloud definitely fills in the gap where on-prem doesn't in the terms of flexibility and agility. Right? I can stand up a server to meet just about any demand, compute, graphics, storage, I mean, you name it, you can stand it up in the cloud, right? So absolute checkbox there. And agility, very agile, I can scale on the fly when I need to, not a problem at all. So I can scale there too. Or I can add a checkbox. Cost control though, that's the big challenge. When I talk to customers, many of them are talking about the fact that when they have a surge in performance requirements, bursty for example, that's when the prices can go up quite a bit in fact. And so there are not a lot of cost controls there. It can get quite expensive. What I'm going to talk to you about today is a new approach to infrastructure called composable disaggregated by Liqid, okay, or CDI. CDI actually delivers the flexibility and agility of the cloud with the cost advantages, in fact, even better than on-prem cost advantages. So absolute flexibility, so you can stand up servers in a matter of seconds, scale them in seconds, all via software, and then maximize resource utilization, and because you're not running around cracking open servers, fewer touch points, much more efficient from an OpEx and a CapEx standpoint. All right, and the way that we do that is we first take and disaggregate resources from the server completely. So what we're doing is we're making the unit of compute the data center rather than the server itself. And to do that, we must first disaggregate the resources from the server. So in this server, I did have 6 SSDs and 2 GPU. I go ahead and pull those out, and instead I place them into pools of NVMe SSD, maybe storage class memory, accelerators like GPU, and even FPGAs. Okay? So these are essentially enclosures. These enclosures have PCIe slots in them, and you can have any number of these resources in here that's aggregated. Now I have pools pools of resources from which I can create bare metal servers. So pools of servers, compute systems, which can exist at a bare minimum of, it can be a CPU and memory, right? And from there, interconnect these into a high-speed fabric and software we call Liqid Matrix. Right, when I say high-speed fabric, I'm talking PCIe, Ethernet, and or InfiniBand, or all three, or any of them, any combination. It's multi-fabric, right? And in the case of PCIe, we're talking ultra-low latency, somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 100 nanoseconds, so very, very low latency. The software allows you as a customer to see all of the resources in our software and then compose them to meet any workload needs. So in this case, we have a workload that requires, let's say, 12 SSDs. So we do 12 SSDs here. We do, maybe we need 4 GPU in this server. We can go ahead and compose those using software. And in less than the time it took me to write this entire whiteboard, you have a server as compared to actually having to go out and actually purchase it. You're using your own infrastructure, right? This is not a rip and replace solution. You're essentially adding this to make your existing infrastructure more flexible and agile, which is great. Let's say that I need to scale, right? So we're going to scale. The workload heats up. Maybe it's an AI workload. I'm adding more data to the process. I'm ingesting more data. I need more GPU. So I'll go ahead and change that 4 GPU. I'll go ahead and update that to 16 GPU, right? I can add those GPU right in there, and at that point, I can do that online, 0 downtime, and not a problem at all. So it's very agile. So we've already gone through and proved out that, in fact, it is highly flexible, very much like the cloud. From an agility standpoint, you're no longer doing multiple touch points, cracking open boxes, and having to go in and add additional resources to them. But also from a cost control standpoint, this is all your hardware, right? This is all your hardware. So from a capital expenditure perspective, this is existing resources you have, and then future resources you're going to purchase. But from an operations expense standpoint also, you're using software, right? This is like an as-a-service type delivery model. So instead of having to crack open boxes, you're simply doing it all through software, very much like you would in the cloud. Let's say that an app, also from a resource utilization, let's say that perspective, let's say that the application I had on here no longer requires those 16 GPU. I go ahead and take away a couple of them, right? So let's go ahead and take away the 16. We'll go ahead and drop that down to 6 GPU, right? And then those other 10, right, go back down here to the pool of GPU that can be used for any other workload. In fact, let's say I had a daytime and a nighttime workload. I'm a 24-hour operation. Daytime, I'm running VDI workloads during the day for my remote workers, power users, for example. Well, at the end of the day, 5, 6 o'clock, I don't need to be running, full power and all. But I may have some people who are going to be working in the evenings, but I don't need all those GPU to power those desktops. So why not move some of the GPU from those servers over to maybe number crunching servers, right? Over to to do video rendering if that's part of my work as well. I can do that and then move GPU back to those daytime workloads later. So very flexible. And because I'm moving those resources around, I'm maximizing utilization. We can get upwards of 90% resource utilization, which is way higher than you would even through virtualization. Anyhow, to kind of sum it up, I think it's fair to say that CDI definitely allows you, delivers that flexibility, agility, and cost control that customers are demanding for next generation workloads. If you want to learn more, please visit us at liqid.com and stay tuned for more whiteboard sessions. Thank you.